Well, guys, I just got home from work, and so it's been a long time since I've made some content, but I'm going to be up a while, and I've got a lot of great things coming soon. As of this specific recording, I'm about to be going on vacation, so what a better time as any to do my follow-up that, I said I was going to do, was it last year? So I think first off, I'm going to start off this video with somewhat of an apology for those of my subscribers who have been following for a while. I know it's been a while since I've made any content, let alone a follow-up. So, I mean, it's just kind of hard lately with how everything's been. It seems like COVID hasn't really disappeared much, and especially retail during the holidays. Anyone who's watched my content long enough will know exactly what that entails. So I have been relatively busy in my home life, and a lot has gone on since then. I mean, things are better now, and they're doing well now. So, especially with that vacation coming up, I'm going to try to record some more content so I can at least upload at least a couple of things a year. So, I didn't realize how many followers I really had. I mean, when you look at YouTube in the grand scale of things, especially being like a super small YouTuber like me, where you only have like, I don't know, 200 subs, it's not something where it's your primary focus, or, it's something that you're going to make a Patreon for or do regular content with, because you typically have to have a full-time job alongside it. Most people blowing up overnight, that's not as common a thing with YouTube as most people think it is. And my intent with this channel, at least with the dyspraxia videos, was never to gain any kind of following, but it's interesting that it has, and from all the messages and the comments, I've helped a lot of people, and that means a lot to me. And I don't want you guys to feel like left out or, separated because I'm not making content for a while. It's just that I'm really busy right now, and work is really difficult. So, when it comes to making YouTube content, I don't think I have the ability to do weekly videos like I used to, and there's a very important reason behind that. I've advanced in career slightly since when I first started making those videos. I went from being just the overnight guy, so I had a lot more time to, make videos regularly, to being somewhat of an assistant manager, which I'm not going to name drop what company I work for because this is the internet and that would be a bad idea. So as my responsibilities drifted more towards work, making YouTube videos became a lot harder. Those with dyspraxia, I'm sure you fully understand what it's like to have a couple of things you have to do at once. And with dyspraxia, how it affects everyday life to the point where, even simple tasks require a lot of work, to get down to even something as easy as, say, editing and cutting the videos, getting the length right, and then waiting for it to upload. It's a lot to do while you're also working a full-time job. And that's not to say that you can't do it if you don't set your mind fully to it. There's many bigger dyspraxia YouTubers out there that actually do have a following and Patreons and stuff like that. It's not that it's impossible, but dyspraxia affects everybody differently. And it's just kind of hard in my specific situation with how my dyspraxia affects me to juggle, all that many things at once, especially while working a full-time job. But I do heavily apologize to those of you who have been following me for so long. It really means a lot. And it's crazy to know I have this following, these 200 people that follow me and watch my videos and, have connected with me on Discord. I mean, I haven't even used Discord in a while, but I've met so many cool dyspraxics through Discord and just this community, even the Our Dyspraxia subreddit. I know there's a lot of stigma around Reddit, but that's probably one of the more chill subreddits you could be on. It's almost completely apolitical. I love the dyspraxia community, and I love how many of you guys are here, watching out for my videos, leaving your comments, of encouragement. It's awesome. I appreciate every single one of you, and you're all dope, man. And I really hope that my schedule clears up a little more, especially now that COVID's starting to fizzle more into the background. There's a lot of studies showing that can possibly basically just become like the seasonal flu. And there will be people wearing masks and mask mandates where there's spikes in places, but it's pretty much so much well integrated in our day-to-day lives that we're kind of used to it, and the vast majority of people won't even wear masks. So, I mean, now that things are easing up, at least it seems with COVID and all the horrors of 2020 into 2021 seem to be passing, things are starting to ease up a little bit, and I'm really hoping I could put out some more content over the next, years if possible. But I'll segue that into other projects that I've worked on, which have also kind of fallen to the wayside because of just how much I've been working lately. For instance, I know everyone really liked that last video I uploaded of me playing All Hail the Mushroom Gods at Aaronfest, I called it. It was like a birthday thing that I did for myself. I used to make music a lot. I used to actually play a lot back when I was younger. But, I actually used to record albums and release music. It was super indie, super underground. I never had like a super crap ton of followers. I drew maybe 20 people. I was more of just like an opening act for bigger, bands when they would come and play the local venues I was at. But there was this bar I was basically able to secure, just for a show, because they regularly did concerts, and I had a couple of bands I used to play with that I'm really cool with. We all just got together and did this one show, and we were going to try to do some kind of touring or whatever, but life kind of happened. A lot of the other bands that are around are more regular everyday bands where I'm more of just a worker who does it as a hobby. I mean, most everything I do is as a hobby, whether it's YouTube or my music or whatever. I try not to put too much into making a job out of things I enjoy, because it seems that I've discovered, at least from my personal perspective, that when you make something into your job or you make it something that you have to do, it becomes less rewarding when you're doing it because you feel like you need to than when you're actively just choosing to do it because you feel like it. And that's something I always liked about like the underground music scene I was in for a little bit, or even just YouTube. If you have a small following, is you can do it as a hobby and it can still be rewarding, but it doesn't have to be your career. And I mean, part of that is you guys too. I appreciate all your support. And the current project I'm working on with my music, if you want to check it out, Dark Goat Records. It's dark, then goat, as in, the animal, then records on Facebook. You could just like that. And then anytime I do anything music-wise, it'll just go up there. Unfortunately, if anyone wants an update on Dark Goat Records, we just lost the one place that we usually host our music on. It's called Stereo Killer. It's kind of like one of those things like how like playlists used to be or whatever. Or I think Metal Sucks is another good one. Before CD Baby and everything that would mass distribute your stuff, it was an actual site, like a customized website that you would upload your music onto. And unfortunately, Stereo Killer died, I think, last year. So I'm working on backing up all my music onto a Mediafire file and then just distributing that. Because, it's just going to be a compilation of all my music stuff over the past few years. So check that out if you're looking for a Dark Goat Records update here. There you go. When it comes to doing shows, obviously that's another thing COVID has affected, because most of any venues that are actually taking bands to play, even small local bands, are like, you know, they have waiting lists that they've had going on since before COVID. And now, since COVID, these waiting lists are so long for some of these venues. Other venues are just a little too soft for my music. Like, you know, most of the ones near me are like coffee shops and stuff. And it's just kind of unfortunate there's not as many hardcore venues out for me to actually go and do live shows. So the live shows are kind of on hold. I'm going to try to do another year of my birthday show. I've been looking for places to run it. I was looking at the Sherman Theater for a bit, but they ended up just not responding after they saw my music, which is common because my music's kind of intense. It's more of the hardcore genre, so it's not something that you can just go to a coffee shop with. I have been working on some stuff, though. I have a bassist now, which is cool. I actually trained him myself to play bass, so that's cool. I taught him how to play bass and everything, so, you know, he's cool. And we're going to try to record some stuff, but I can't promise anything will be out anytime soon, just because our schedules are conflicting. And, I mean, we even work at the same place, but still, it's like our schedules conflict with how the labor market is right now in the United States. But I'm not going to get too much into politics or name drop anybody, because it's the internet. I really don't want to throw people's stuff out there. But that's it for the Dark Goat Records stuff. When it comes to upcoming videos that I have coming on, I mean, if I do end up doing this birthday show next year, I'll definitely upload more footage of it on here because you guys really seem to like my music. And I mean, I'll try to do any updates to my music. If I get another release, I'll definitely like plug it on this channel for those of you that really like my music. It means a lot that you guys like my music too, because I mean, I was never much a big time musician. I don't like playing in front of huge crowds. And I mean, that's the thing, even when I would open for the bigger bands, it was always like I would go there, play my set, you know, and then in that couple of seconds while they're like changing instruments, I would go around to all the bands, be like, oh, hey, thanks. You know, it was nice being with you, but I got to get home, especially because I don't drive. So I usually had to rely on a ride to, you know, get there and back. So, you know, it was cool. A lot of the bands I played with were really cool. You know, I got to play with some more notable bands, which was cool, but it's just, you know, those times are in the past, and I definitely can't handle being in front of even that big a crowd anymore. It's just, working retail gives you this kind of social anxiety that just messes with you. Now, as for the spiders, I've had my Black Widow for over a year. She lived to a year and 1 month, and she just passed away in December. The original Black Widow I got. The second one I got didn't last very long and ended up getting eaten by the other one. So, you know, it is what it is. I guess we know now that Black Widows can't live communally. The original intent of the Widowmaker series was to have something kind of like Leo Kim, if any of you follow, like, you know, people who handle exotic animals and stuff, but also people who just make these interesting living tanks. I think there's another one called Life in Jars, where, you know, it's like a mini ecosystem almost. It's really cool, like communal tanks with terrariums, and I mean, they'll put a lot of different living creatures in with them. I was going to do one that was just every kind of Black Widow, just to see how they would interact with one another. But the thing was, as soon as I got this Black Widow, it was the coolest thing ever, because I've always kind of liked spiders. They're my favorite animal personally, and I really hope that doesn't scare away all my other subscribers. But I've always just been really interested in spiders, so I thought it would be really cool to have a tank with Black Widows. And once I had the one Black Widow, I kind of got attached to it because it was like a pet. And, you know, they are actually somewhat uncommon exotic pets in some places. On tarantula shops I've been looking through, some of them will actually sell Black Widows. So they're not too uncommon in the exotic pet trade. So there is somewhat of a market for that. And I didn't realize that when I got this Black Widow, just how much care is put into it and making sure that the substrate is right. because while they're very indestructible animals in many cases, there's also many things that will easily kill them too, because I mean they are very much just these small mostly defenseless creatures that are just trying to live their life. There's a horrible negative stigma around spiders, and I really try to curb that, and that was also part of the reason I got a Black Widow, was to kind of prove the point that, yeah, these spiders, you know, handle them with caution, but at the same time, they're not going out of their way to kill people. And I am planning on a video, maybe a little later on just talking about arachnophobia, because arachnophobia is a phobia, it is irrational, and there's a lot you can learn about spiders. I mean, it's very unfair to spiders, but before I come off as a spider hippie, that'll be a whole video in and of itself. But this is the perfect segue, because I did end up getting 2 more animals, and I have another one coming along. So anyone who's interested in exotic pets, this is your section of the follow-up. I'm definitely going to have to do chapters with this. What I've got in the former Widow tank, I actually had to completely redo this, is a Colorado river toad, which are very easy to take care of pets, and I really want to do a video. That's another video I'm planning on doing, on how most exotic pets are actually some of the easiest pets to take care of, so they're actually really good pets for dyspraxics. And toads are no different. I mean, literally, all you need is substrate, a water bowl that you refill. Obviously, you want some kind of light to simulate a day-night cycle. I wouldn't consider this an ideal terrarium. Obviously, there's a lot you can do with it, a lot you can put into it, but as long as they have places they can hide, like that little skull cave, and enough substrate that they can basically like dig in, they're very easy to take care of. Right now, she's actually buried. She's in there, but I don't know, one day I'll do a feeding video when she comes out. It's also winter right now, and from what I've read, they're known for just kind of hiding in the winter. But since I just got home, I can turn off her lamp. It's nighttime for her right now. So I'm definitely going to do a video just about her, because she's cool. Also, because, you know, spiders, what I have here, and this is a sling right now, but this is Linethyle sericata. It used to go under the name Linethyle megathaloides. These spiders are similar to tarantulas. They're not actually tarantulas. They're in the genus Dipluridae. And the thing that's cool about these guys is they're very heavy webbers. So they web really heavily and they're really fast, but it's really hard to get one to bite you. It's not much known about, you know, how bad their venom is, because scientists can't really get them to bite them. And really, you're only going to find like a handful of reports, if that, on tarantula forums even. And of course, this is the enclosure that I'm going to end up rehousing it into, at least for now when it's a juvenile. And I even have the label here. I also have, I'm going to be getting an actual venomous, well, all spiders are venomous, but like medically significant venom, tarantula. That's going to be cool. It's what's commonly known as a pokey. Anyone in the tarantula hobby, you'll know about that. They're very fast spiders, heavily venomous, but it's kind of like I've been handling spiders for 11 years, so I feel like I can do that. And their venom hasn't actually killed anyone. It's not pleasant. It's not something you actually want to go through, because, I mean, some people have said the pain has lasted like weeks to months. But at the same time, you know, it's a cool looking spider, and I've had enough experience handling spiders, and I'm pretty sure I can handle one. So I'll definitely do a video on that. Well, not handle it. I won't handle it, but I will definitely raise it. It won't be in a container like this as a sling, because I'm told they'll grow fast. So I'm definitely going to do a tank setup for that. And maybe I'll do a video for that. I don't know if you guys want to see my spider videos, though. Because, I mean, with spiders, it's kind of hard to do regular content on. And that's a large reason why I stopped doing spider videos. Spider husbandry is important and it does require a sizable amount of work. There's no doubt about that. Any pet will. But when it comes to having pets, one of the easier ones tends to be things like tarantulas. And because of that, they don't really make the best, things for a YouTube video. You can only show a feeding so many times before it becomes mundane. If you're really into tarantula videos like that, I would heavily suggest the Tarantula Collective. But if you're into that, I'm sure you've already seen his videos before. I would hope so. I'm a big fan of his content, though. And because of him, I actually found a reputable tarantula vendor. Because the one I was going through to begin with actually sent me like a dead one. And also is just really scummy. I'm not going to name drop them because I don't want to, get sued or anything. But the ones he suggests and, brings up on his whole website, he actually has a website for, ordering, invertebrates and exotic pets, but primarily tarantulas. And his videos are really cool. I would heavily suggest that if that's something you're into. I'll definitely do videos when I do the rehousings, because those are going to be really cool. I don't know about unboxings, because, I got to be really careful when it comes to unboxings. But I don't want anyone thinking this is going to be some big-time tarantula channel. I'm not planning on getting more than the 2 spiders, because I've found that I can only really handle 2 spiders at once. Once you get more than 2 spiders, it's kind of like it becomes a bit much to care for, especially while you're working a full-time job and as a hobbyist more than, more of a professional like the Tarantula Collective or even a tarantula breeder. And I don't want to imply that having a job is a bad thing either, or being invested in your job is a bad thing either. I've learned to actually appreciate my job because I've actually had some great benefits with it and everything. And, make of that what you will. You know how it is with the, whole capitalism, communism, socialism debate. I try not to get involved in stuff like that. As far as I'm concerned, in my current state of being, I'm actually somewhat in a good place, and I can't complain about that. But it does make certain aspects hard, like recording YouTube videos and editing them regularly, or making, music regularly. And so, I don't want to imply if that's something you want to do for a living, it is possible. And, by all means, follow your dreams. Who knows where it'll take you. Well, it's rare these overnight YouTube successes do happen. And frequently enough that many people try and many do succeed. So, in my 200 subs special, I didn't get many questions, so this Q&A portion is going to be really short. And I think you could tell that because I'm starting off with this question. This was the most recent question I was asked that actually inspired me to do this video. And that question is from Soldier for Davis. When is the follow-up video coming? Well, hopefully you're watching it now. This second question from Shem McGee. Can you do the Air Force with dyspraxia or ADHD, anxiety, etc.? And I have talked in small part about my military history, but anyone who's known me for long enough or knows all about that, I didn't serve really long at all. I wouldn't even consider what I did serving. I was at basic training, got injured right before graduation and sent home. So I really couldn't tell you much about actual military experience. I have had the idea of making a few videos here and there on just my whole experience going through basic training. And if you guys are interested in that, let me know. But honestly, I don't feel like I could give the most educated perspective, as I've seen many dyspraxics who have made it through basic and actually lived proper military life, who would probably be better for you to turn to. So I might have to talk to some people, do a lot more research for a video like that. But as for my own personal perspective, I couldn't tell you one way or another. how to deal with the military. Now, if you have anxiety, I heavily wouldn't suggest it, simply because putting yourself through a chaotic scenario, even basic training alone, is a really intense scenario to put oneself in, with ADHD, dyspraxia, and otherwise. So those of you who do watch my channel that have made it into the military, like actually passed basic training and everything, I have nothing but the utmost respect and support for you. But as for me personally, I can't really give you one answer or another, or make a full-fleshed video on that. That's why my whole bringing up military experience comes in small bits and pieces throughout videos instead of a whole fleshed out video on my military experience. Next question here from The New Culture. Are you good when communicating with neurotypicals? And in parentheses it says, I believe you are. And what career choices do you think are good for people with dyspraxia? As for neurotypicals, I'm assuming you mean just the average person. I mean, I'm pretty good at communicating with a lot of people. I don't know how or why. I've just always been somewhat gregarious, so people just like talking to me and like me. It's not like I try, honestly, and this isn't, I'm not trying to humble brag here or anything. Being somewhat of a people person is kind of difficult when you're dyspraxic, and especially when you're dealing with like depression and anxiety and dealing with all this other stuff, because the last thing you want is to have a million people messaging you and hitting you up for things. As I mentioned earlier in this video, I mean, it's a lot to deal with, you know, having some semblance of a social life in general, but once it's expanded, it's just woof. And yeah, I get along well with pretty much most people. I don't know how or why. I really try to avoid people, if anything. I've done as much as I possibly could to try to avoid people outside of work. I barely leave the house or anything, but somehow it just always happens, and I tend to make friends really easily. As for career choices, I would heavily suggest something along the lines of office work. I did do a whole video on this, working with dyspraxia, although it might be a little dated. It is slightly cringy, especially because it was back when I was recording at work more often. So I might do a revision to that. But in short, I mean, warehouse work is definitely rough. Anything that requires you to do something physical and heavily physical, and I mean, this depends on how dyspraxia affects you too, but the vast majority of us are prone to fatigue and, you know, like physical issues as well as coordination issues. So anything physical like warehouse work, stocking, etc. is going to be a negative. You want to lean on where your strengths are. Now, not all dyspraxics are the same. Some dyspraxics, like myself, are very good with talking or communicating, and so you'd be better off in, say, a retail or a sales position, as opposed to an office one where there's less social interaction if your focus is, you know, more primarily focused on like office work and stuff. Because some people are just really good at office work. So it really it's tailored to one's strengths and weaknesses, although in general, and I hate to generalize because not all dyspraxics are affected the same way, but in general, I would say any job that is less physically demanding and more socially or mentally demanding would be better for a dyspraxic, in my opinion. And since I was looking at my comments on my channel overall anyway, I did find this question from a year ago that I kind of want to answer. This is from I Freaking Love the Smiths, which is a good name. I actually like some old school punk myself. Since I have dyspraxia and hypermobility, I'm wondering whether that increases my likelihood of issues when I'm older, like arthritis and severe pain in joints. I don't know. I honestly don't know for a fact. I can only speak for myself and possibly, you know, those in my direct bloodline, because there is a possibility that dyspraxia is genetic, but there's still not that much research yet. So it's kind of hard to say. They are starting to do more studies now, and they're finding, little small correspondences and stuff. But overall, definitively, they can't say one way or another. I think it's understandable that as you age, pains that you have now get worse. It's just a given. I injured my knee when I was at basic, and I'm only in my late 20s, and I'm already having like chronic knee pain. I have chronic back pain. I'm always in some kind of pain, so that's part of why I don't make music as much as I used to. And that's the thing is, in my late 20s, I feel like an old man. So, but dyspraxia will do that. And would I say it makes us more prone to arthritis or severe pain in joints? I can't say one way or another, but since we are more prone to fatigue and the hypermobility is a thing, it would be a safe assumption to make. And from my own personal experience with how much pain I'm in every day, you would swear I was like 40 years old, but I'm not. So theoretically, yes, but scientifically, I couldn't tell you yes or no. And this last question, also from a year ago, will help me segue into the final part where I talk about some videos I do have planned. So, Anthony Fernandez asks, this feels like a safe place to ask this, so I apologize for outing you like this, but how the hell do you get yourself clean? And the thing is, this is definitely worth a whole video in and of itself. This is a video I have had planned making since I saw that comment a year ago. So it's definitely something I have planned. I want to do a video on. That's part of, believe it or not, that's why I'm growing my beard out right now. I haven't shaved in a minute because, well, not only is it my vacation, I'm getting towards the final days of my vacation too, but I do want to do a video where I do a whole in-depth, like, cleaning of myself for the video. I'm growing my nails out, I'm, like, getting everything all set up so that way I can do this video and just show my whole day-to-day process of cutting my beard, clipping my nails, showering properly, brushing my teeth, all this other stuff, because that is a common issue. I know you asked, this feels like a safe place to ask this. It really is, because hygiene is like one of the biggest things when it comes to dyspraxics that I feel like isn't talked about a lot, but is very important because hygiene ties a lot into one's health. And until I get that video out, I would heavily suggest, if you haven't checked it out yet, the Injuries with Dyspraxia, where I talk a little bit about how hygiene causes us to be slightly more prone towards being sick and so on. So definitely check that out while you wait, but that's definitely a video I do have planned coming out soon. I wanted to do somewhat of a mushroom update because I had some really crazy freaking experience. Now, it's been over a year now since I had that last experience, which was nuts. See, I'm sure you guys saw Psilocybin with Dyspraxia, where I did the crazy-ass mushroom trip, and it was nuts. But as much as I said I wouldn't do it again, I did end up doing it again, like, later that year. And I ended up heavily regretting it. It was a very traumatic, nightmare-inducing experience because I was doing it at a time and place where I shouldn't. And that's why I say set and setting is key. I definitely didn't take that into account. And since then, I haven't done mushrooms, and I've had just a whole lot of, I wouldn't say issues because, psilocybin has its benefits and its negatives, but I've definitely been struggling with something related to that last trip since then, and I do want to do a video on that trip. It's just getting my thoughts together and actually making a video, and especially as the time between my videos gets longer and longer, and I know the vast majority of those who follow this channel are following for dyspraxia content and not mushroom content. I don't want to go all these months without posting and then throw up something that nobody's going to want to hear about except for like a select few of my followers. Well, yes, I do primarily still do this channel as a hobby for myself. I now have over 200 people who I also want to feel involved in this, at least, so that nobody feels left out and nobody feels like shit, because from what I've seen in my comments and in my messages and stuff, I've helped out a lot of people, and that means a lot to me. And I like that I've helped every single one of you guys out. You're all really dope people. And I've talked to some of you back when I used to hang out in the Discord a lot more often. I should definitely hit that place up. It's just been really rough with work. Even like on the grander scale with the people who follow guys like Visual Knowledge or Crystal Bellishaw or the R Dyspraxia subreddit, the dyspraxia community online is probably one of the least toxic and one of my favorite communities to have been involved in and still be involved in. It's awesome, and you guys are all awesome, and I appreciate all this success and having the subs and being able to keep doing these videos as long as I've been doing them. It's awesome. So I definitely do have a couple more videos in me about dyspraxia, but I mean that the topic's wearing pretty thin. I feel like I'm reaching a point where I've talked as much about dyspraxia as I can without basically repeating myself in every other video I do, which is something dyspraxics do. We do repeat ourselves a lot. That's actually a common thing with dyspraxia, but not to that regularity. You know what I mean? And I don't want to be recording and uploading the same video over and over again either. And that's part of why it's taken me so long to upload some content too, because what I'll do is I'll go and try to record a video, and then I'll go and I'll be editing it, and I'll see that, like, oh wait, I said this in another video, and I said this in another video, and I said that in another video. Well, this video is pretty much redundant. Well, yes, there's a lot of science and a lot of research being doing on dyspraxia, you know, especially with like the Dyspraxia Foundation and so on. It's great to be able to follow all this stuff, but there's better publications specifically aimed at the science of, you know, discovering all these things with dyspraxia. And my video is more of a personal vlog-like channel, so I mean, I might shift away and start doing just more general vlog-type videos sooner or later. And, you know, that's just what I've been thinking of doing. I can't say for sure where the future of this channel holds. I will be going back to doing just overnights soon. So hopefully that'll allow me a lot more time, especially with the consistent schedule. I'll be able to start making videos again more often. So, you know, if you want to stick around, you can. I mean, if it seems like I've deserted you, I fully understand that too. So feel free to leave if you want to leave. I don't want anyone to be like, oh, like, comment, subscribe, you know, all this other stuff, because that's not what I'm doing this for. But just so you guys know, I mean, for the next few years at least, there's not going to be the whole plethora of content like I used to, where I was uploading a video almost every week, if not every other week. But yeah, that's all for this one, everyone. I decided to do this last part without my glasses, just so you guys can see my eyes, so we can be more genuine, have a heart-to-heart talk, I guess. But yeah, that's all for this one, everyone. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the 220-something I think I'm at now, strong. Every single one of you is dope. And you guys have a good one.